What a week it was. Rugby World Cup got underway with the French booing Emmanuel Macron at the opening ceremony. Alleged alien bodies were revealed in Mexico. Joe Biden impeachment inquiry launched. His son indicted. Kim Jong-un rekindling his rocket romance with Vladimir Putin. And we will be talking about absolutely none of that, because much like Europe and China's continual scramble for natural resources, we are focused on Africa. And full disclosure, very often in this program, your mind may very well say,
it's giving Zimbabwe.
My name is Ashwyn, and it's time for the second take. Let's get into our top stories. A high court in Democratic Republic of Congo has sentenced presidential candidate Jean-Marc Kabund to 7 years in prison on 12 charges, including spreading false rumors and insulting the head of state, his lawyer said on Wednesday. Now, Kabund was a former vice president of parliament and a close associate of President Felix Tshisekedi, who launched his own political party last year after the two fell out. He has been held in Kinshasa's main prison since his arrest in August 2022, after he called Tshisekedi a danger and lambasted his government in a speech. The court sentenced him to 4 months each for the first 9 offenses and 16 months each for the last 3, Kabund's lawyer Kadi Diko told Reuters, adding that the most serious offenses were spreading false rumors and contempt for head of state and parliament. Now, I find it interesting that one can do jail time for this. For example, in an election, there are inevitably some people who won't want an individual in power for their own reasons. And for the most part, they don't like you. Should they be respectful? Sure. But to expect people that don't want you to lead to have kind words is like expecting Julius Malema to MC a Democratic Alliance Christmas party without hurling apartheid-laced insults throughout the opening prayer. Let's get into our next story. So last week, we spoke about Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema catching a whiff of coup soup, and at first glance, it was difficult to discern from whence the presidential paranoia stemmed from, given how high Zambia scores on the democracy index. Turns out he just had to look across the Victoria Falls because certain comments were made by Zimbabwe's ZANU-PF functionaries in Harare following Hichilema's emissary, Nevers Mumba, leading a SADC observers mission that discredited Zimbabwe's recent elections. ZANU-PF's Rutendo Matanyire tweeted that the Zambian president and his SADC observation team leader had a conflict of interest, alleging that Nelson Chamisa is Hichilema's friend and HH paid for Chamisa's election campaign. Now, this was not the comment that went as far as sparking protests in Zambia. It was when he tweeted that Levi Mwanawasa, a former president of Zambia that had to mediate between Robert Mugabe and Morgan Tsvangirai, had died because he was allegedly orchestrating an invasion of Zimbabwe. And Hichilema too will see that you don't mess with Africa. ZANU-PF Treasurer Patrick Chinamasa echoed the same remarks, to which Zambians immediately demanded answers. Some protesters hoisted a large banner written, "We want to know why you want to kill President Hakainde Hichilema, as alleged in your statement." Others held placards inscribed, "He's cleaning your mess, but you keep ranting. Shame on you." The aforementioned President Mwanawasa called Mugabe's Zimbabwe a sinking Titanic after repeated allegations of rigged elections logged against ZANU-PF. He died in 2008. Now, ironically, President Mnangagwa grew up and went to school in Zambia. Part of his family still lives in Mumbwa in Zambia. He was a youth leader of Zambia's Independence Party, UNIP. But much like an argument over Victoria Falls, there seems to be no love lost between ZANU-PF and the current Zambian leadership. Yet on any level, such statements and what they allude to is unacceptable. But ZANU-PF can often be like that friend that you bring to your family function that gets too inebriated to avoid being senselessly disruptive. As much as you can't stop them from getting drunk, you'd be happy if they at least managed to keep quiet. But who am I to ask that a party doesn't make inflationary statements when the economy they are currently overseeing hovers around a 170% inflation rate? Inflation is their thing. However, President Mnangagwa has a solution for the nation that, much like charity, begins at home, which leads us into our next story. Now, this one's an interesting one because announcing his cabinet on Monday, Mnangagwa said one of his younger sons, David Kudakwashe Mnangagwa, would be second in charge at the Treasury, while appointing a nephew, Tonga Mnangagwa, as deputy minister in the tourism ministry. David Kudakwashe Mnangagwa, who has no experience in government, is an actuary who previously sat on the board of a bank. He also graduated with a law degree about 2 weeks ago at the University of Zimbabwe, and he came into parliament through a youth quota. You know, a lot of people are calling this nepotism, but maybe we are the problem. Maybe we all don't know what it means to put family first. I mean, when a country has one of the worst economies in the world, why look for someone that has the experience of running an economy when you can assign your son, who, in his defense, could have been one of those kids that gets sent to the shops and then comes back with more money than he left with? I just thought that the reason someone seizes power is to do things differently. Because at some point, Mnangagwa was also of the opinion that Grace Mugabe was not qualified to succeed Uncle Bob. But much like Grace's qualifications, just last week, he conferred First Lady Auxilia Mnangagwa a Doctor of Philosophy in Law honorary degree. And again, I think we are all at fault for not seeing a problem with this, or rather for seeing a problem with this. See, we're all thinking selfishly and not considering his marriage. Some wives need more than flowers and dates. Undeserved academic qualifications is how the real husbands of African coups get it done. I don't make the rules. Namspective after the break.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nhom.com.na.
Welcome to Namspective. This segment is dedicated to finding out how Namibians feel about their country, Africa, and the world. Now, there was an interesting conversation this week on Nam Twitter, and today's Namspective comes from Namibian Sun's managing editor as he did his best to broach the touchy topic of foreignhood in Namibia. This was Toivon Jebela's editorial. This week, a Zimbabwean chartered accountant caused quite a stir when he discussed his 10-month experience working as a foreigner in Namibia and the reasons he had to leave for the United Kingdom. As of late Thursday, 1.9 million people had seen his tweet. Namibians went into overdrive. How dare he question our laws? Some asked. Others said Zimbabweans should be the last to speak ill of other countries, given where they are coming from. I I kind of get that. But there are some Namibians who also scaled hillsides to denounce the United Kingdom for recently ending its visa-free travel there, but wouldn't allow foreigners to share their lived experiences here at home. There is wisdom in listening, Toivo says, especially when no one is questioning the veracity of the Zimbabwean accountant's observations. True, when it comes to employment and other economic activity in our country, Namibians must continue to be a country mile ahead of the queue. But there has to be decency, empathy, and dignity in the way we treat foreigners legally working or living here. Some have been working in the country for 15 years, yet they are unable to make long-term plans for their life due to uncertainty surrounding their application for renewal. They cannot invest in any meaningful assets such as a house or even a car, yet we are clinging onto them for 15 years. Our nationhood is a product of international solidarity, but we seem to have conveniently forgotten how kind-heartedly the world treated us in our hour of need. That's Toivo's Namspective. Please share yours with us in the comments section, and after the break, it's our heartwarming moment of the week. Our heartwarming moment of the week is from South Africa. Umgeni Municipality Mayor Chris Pappas has been named in the Time 100 Next 2023 list for future leaders. Pappas took over the reins at Umgeni Municipality after the local government elections in 2021. Pappas 30 has won the hearts of many South Africans as a Zulu-speaking politician in a municipality that is 3/4 black in a country where most people vote along racial lines. Pappas crossed those divides to speak to people in their language and won votes by emphasizing small but attainable improvements to daily life and municipal services above standard political loyalty, the international magazine said. In this clip, Mayor Christopher Pappas speaks of the Democratic Alliance offering 3 cows to pay their last respect to the recently late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi.
Ngibingelele futhi kumalunga seshayamthetho neParliament namakhansela nomeya bakhona. Ngiphinde ngibingelele umndeni wakabuthelezi nabaholi benhlangano bonke abakhona. Ngibingelele kumhlonishwa wenhlangano yakwaZulu IFP ubaba uHlabisa all protocol observed. Akujwayelekile ukuthi ikhansela likhuluma emva komkhulu wenhlangano kodwa ngithunyiwe namhlanje ukuzovalelisa inhlangano le ye-Democratic Alliance. Sifike namhlanje namaguqa izilwane ezintathu uzokhalisa nomndeni kwabuthelezi nesizwe sonke sakwaZulu ngokuhanjelwa umntwana. Njengo-Democratic Alliance sithi lana ngokuxola nangokuthula wena mntwana wakaPhindangeni. Sabonga, amen.
If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. Those are the words of Nelson Mandela. I'll be talking to Republican journalist Irene Marie van der Walt after the break as we talk about bridging racial and tribal lines in African politics. Joining me now is Republican journalist Irena Marie van der Walt as we talk about bridging the gap in politics. How's it going, Irena?
It's going good, Ashwyn. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm good. It's time for second take. Let's get into it.
I'm excited for the second take.
All right, so let's talk about, the political climate without getting too deep into it. How important do you think it is for political parties to, do their best to cross racial and tribal lines? Not just, to garner votes, but, to garner support for their vision.
I think it's important that a political party take into consideration that there are other tribes as well. I think tribalism and racism is rife in Africa, and there's no denying it, there's no talking around it, there's no making excuses for it. So, and I think there's a lot of political parties who are founded with a vision that fits the values of their tribe, fits their cultural values. And as such, we are so divided because everybody wants what their cultural values are.
That's interesting because everybody then wants to lead the entire nation.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you think that it's, priority will be making sure that, everyone from each corner of the nation understands your message.
Yes, I find that there's a disconnect there because in campaigning, there's a sort of campaign, and make no mistake, sort of the parties that are built on, white cultures, they do this as well, where they campaign using a certain value system, and then suddenly they lead the nation, or they lead a specific subset of the nation, or they have this little turf that they are meant to sort of take care of, and they still only lead with those values. They still only value that. And I don't think that is right. So
I found it interesting, like in Namibia, for example, one of the local politicians decided to run for president, and he put up billboards, which is like fantastic, but they seemed to be mostly going one direction, just mostly headed towards the north. I don't recall any billboards at the south, translated to the languages over there, that kind of thing. And I do understand that the majority of votes in Namibia do come from that region. But then again, if one wants to lead Namibia as a nation, I would think that crossing those tribal lines, those racial lines would be necessary. Do you think it's achievable?
I do. I personally, and I know at Republican, these values match, where we have garnered a very, very deep appreciation for how multicultural Namibia is. We don't want to sort of have this like white people newspaper thing anymore. And I've never wanted to have this like white girl thing. To me, the most beautiful part about having grown up in Africa and having been here my entire life is getting to interact with different cultures, with different people of different backgrounds, who have different ways of thinking, different beliefs, be that religious beliefs, be that just moral beliefs in general. That's the most beautiful thing to me. So I don't expect a candidate to completely
abandon their,
abandon their
roots, so to speak,
own culture and abandon their own values.
And their core support base, because that is important as well.
But if a candidate were to sort of convince me that they have at least an appreciation for people who are different from them, they have my vote. Right now, I'm not planning to vote because I don't see that. Do
you think perhaps it should also go beyond an appreciation? Because if you're going to lead the entire nation, you have to be involved in these communities in order to know what's going on there.
I think a sincere appreciation of different cultures leads somebody to ask questions, and I can say from experience, it's led me into some troubled waters where I may have offended some people.
But asking questions is the cornerstone of democracy.
But eventually I think those people understood that I didn't mean harm in asking those questions.
You wanted to understand.
Exactly. So for that candidate to just have that appreciation and be able to meet people halfway and be willing to learn about what is important to other people and for what reason, I think is enough for me. We all grow, and I don't expect a political candidate or a president to be perfect.
But you expect them to reach out and to make
effort. To try for their people, because at the end of the day, you are my people and I am yours at the end. Like, no matter what the differences are, cultural or racial or whatever, we are each other's people. So I expect a president to at least try for their people.
All right, love it. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's Irena Marie van der Walt's take on Second Take.
In the heart of Africa lies a land of timeless beauty. Welcome to Namibia, where nature's wonders unfold. A land of breathtaking deserts, untamed wilderness, and ancient traditions. beneath its surface, Namibian diamonds, crafted by nature, coveted by the world. A testament of time. An extraordinary giveaway. Namibia Diamond Trading Company is giving you the chance to win a polished diamond valued at 100,000 Namibian dollars. To enter, simply scan the QR code, send a WhatsApp to 085-785-6231 with #diamond and follow the on-screen instructions. Discover the magic of these unique diamonds. From the heart of Namibia to yours.
Now, our TikTok of the week was actually made earlier this year, but because I saw it this week and there is no democratic process involved in the selection of content for this show, i.e. I'm a TV autocrat, I hereby declare that this is this week's TikTok of the week. It's a short interview of a Namibian in the UK happy to share her love for the land of the brave.
Where are you from?
Namibia. It's Southern Africa, so just right above South Africa.
What's your favorite song in Namibia?
It's a song called Pretty Vibes by... Yes, sir?
You wanna sing
Pretty,
it?
pretty, pretty vibes. Pretty, pretty, pretty vibes. There's a lot of talented musicians in Namibia. It's just a small country, that's why you probably wouldn't know.
That's why I want them to know
Yeah.
it. Can you talk to them?
Namibia is a very beautiful desert ocean country. It has very beautiful landscape. And
Now in your language.
Ile niko Namibia, akuna mbuwa, akuna futa, akuna madunes zaidi maisho yoiwa. Na Lewis Hamilton na kwaya got this yet. That's how you know it's a good place to be.
Spring into savings at Vurman Brock. Get 1.5 kg Real Good Mixed Chicken for $64.99. 5 kg Champion Super Maize for $54.99. 1 liter First Choice UHT milk for $19.99. 1 liter Nam milk or Maire or Oshikandela for $26.99. Plus 2 kg Nga hand washing powder for $38.99. Visit VurmanBrock.com to see our full range of spring specials at WB. We care.
One can confidently submit that nothing has been opposed more on this continent than the unity of Africans. Our divisions have never served us. Our unity has been the catalyst for our freedom. And as the world fights to dominate influence over our decision-making, I hope we can all remember that Africans need Africans. When we come together, we are unstoppable. When we shun each other, we reject our very essence. My name is Ashwyn, and that is The Second Take.